the practical advice that I can give you is if you're not used to what a whole food plant-based diet is, you don't have to jump straight into the fire. Try to wedge it into your diet. Read a little bit on the books that I mentioned earlier in the slides. And out of the ones that you like, wedge into your diet, your standard diet, a couple of plant-based products. See if you can make fillers. And everybody knows how many fruits and vegetables you're supposed to eat in a day here? 9. Everybody agree with that? Yeah, it's supposed to be 9 to 10. It used to be 5 to 7. And since everybody failed and we're still having disease, it's 9 to 10. And if we didn't do 5 to 7, how are we going to fit 9 to 10? I don't have my vegetables here. I have this thing called a pomelo. Have you ever seen a pomelo? It's like a grapefruit on steroids. It takes a ton of work to peel the skin off this thing, pomelo. But once you eat it, it's so huge it fills you up. Not that I'm going to just eat that, but the great thing with fruits and vegetables and whole foods is that you have this bulk. And when you have bulk, you have satiety. When you stretch, even if you stretch with like 10 wafers of Metamucil, you'll feel kind of full. Kind of like, I don't mean to pick on Chinese food, but a lot of Chinese food is based with soups and noodles, and people feel full after Chinese food, and then the rumor is that half an hour after you eat Chinese food, you're hungry again. Well, there's a satiety value you get when you stretch out the stomach. The stretch receptors are stimulated. So that's what happens when you eat a lot of fiber. And does anybody know how many grams of fiber you're supposed to have in a day? About
20.
Close. Women 25, men 35. And guess how many, because I'll have some guy, I'll mention that to most of my patients that are on a kick to change. And I get some guys who say, well, I eat a bowl of oatmeal every morning. Guess how many grams are in a bowl of oatmeal? Or bran, the highest amount?
8.
4 to 6, but you're close. So if you imagine, that's all your fiber for the day, one bowl of bran oatmeal, and bran tastes like bark, truthfully, unless you spice it up with fruit and veggies. So if that's all you have about what? A guy will have 29 more grams of fiber to fill in the day. And if we don't do the fruits and vegetables with every meal, one piece of fruit for lunch, one piece of fruit for dinner, that doesn't cut the 9. But if you don't do that, how are you supposed to get the fiber? So that's why I like to wedge in bits and pieces of fruits and vegetables. But you got to know what your fiber content is. So you got to do a little bit of reading. But bottom line is, if you put that fiber in and wedge it in, number one, you'll be less hungry as you get home when you're starving from being in traffic or you're stuck in snow. You get home because you're frustrated. What are you going to go to? The fastest food available. That's the cupboard, unless it's prepared for you. And usually you'll hunt and you'll stop. You won't be able to stop hunting when that triggered reflex of starvation is already set in place. So if you have a little fruit or something like a banana or a wafer before you get home, you'll not screw up your dinner, but you'll still be able to enjoy the dinner without diving into it and then being more hungry afterward. So that's where I think whole food, plant-based is important.